This special is brought to you by the City Government of Cagayan de Oro through its City Tourism Office.
Good morning, Taike Hotsaki! One more day to go and we will be finally celebrating our Chinese New Year. Are you ready with your dishes and traditions? Let's review one more time kung unsa gyud ang mga different dishes nga must-haves sa inyong mga lamisa. Let's visit two of our famous restaurants here in the city, ang Grand Caprice and Fong Restaurant.
Uptown in Cagayan de Oro, we find Fong Asian Cuisine, owned by Miss Nelia Lee, an esteemed member of the Cagayan de Oro Hotels and Restaurant Association, who has been in the industry for years. Miss Nelia opened Fong in remembrance of her father, a Cantonese, 6 years ago. Here, the customers always enjoy the variety of cuisines with Asian tastes. And for the coming Chinese New Year, Fong recommends the following dishes.
Ako ko masuggest with is steamed lapu-lapu kani among pansit canton. Just because ang lapu-lapu symbolizes abundance and prosperity. And ang pansit canton represents long life.
On the other side of the city, somewhere downtown, is another establishment which has been in operations for the last 28 years. In 1993, the Rolida family created another restaurant after the closure of Caprice by the Sea, which they owned with the Canoys. The Rolidas retained the use of the word Caprice and added Grand, as his new partners were affiliated with the Grand Majestic Chinese businesses of Cebu. Today, Grand Caprice is still at the go-to place when one craves for a Chinese meal. It is also a treasure trove of many Cagayanans' memories who have celebrated all their milestones at the restaurant. For Chinese New Year, Grand Caprice recommends the following dishes. For appetizer, special hot cuts. For soup, the mixed green seafood soup. Then the whole stuffed chicken with savory sticky rice, which symbolizes togetherness, with the sticky rice as a representation of unity in the family. Of course, the noodles with red quail eggs, which means longevity, with the quail eggs representing happiness. Red, after all, is a color of happiness. Spring rolls are always on the table because the Chinese New Year is also known as the Spring Festival. Thus, they represent the coming of spring. seafood in a basket has prawns that are said to be a symbol of happiness and laughter, while the round-shaped scallops represent oneness and reunion, which is the essence of the Chinese New Year celebration for families. And the steamed fish and soy sauce. Fish in Chinese is yu, and steaming the whole fish is considered to bring good luck. For desserts, these golden-colored oranges will bring in prosperity and wealth, while these sesame balls are favored because of their round-shaped, sweet taste, which symbolizes also togetherness and good fortune. For Grand Caprice and Fong, surviving in times of the pandemic is indeed a huge challenge, but they have started picking up the pieces again, serving their loyal patrons with dishes that are repeatedly requested from them, not just for the delicious taste, but in continuance of a loved tradition of having good food to complete a celebration.
The food is so delicious, yummy. Of course, parang nag-early yung celebration ko ng Chinese New Year. And tagal ko na gusto ulit kumain dito after the lockdown. Ngayon, it's been 10 months. Ngayon lang ulit ako napunta ng Grand Caprice to eat this. As usual, talagang Grand Caprice ang tatak, masarap. Matagal na itong Grand Caprice, so known for this. All Chinese people naman visit Grand Caprice to eat this delicious Chinese food. So, yeah, like this one. Spring roll, parang gold shaw for Chinese. So, I have to eat all of this para I can have so much gold. Diba? To everyone, kung hey pachoy.
Kong Hee Fat Chai. It means Happy New Year in Chinese. Every year, we celebrate Chinese New Year with a big bang. Today, it's the year of the tiger. And unsa ng tiger is a sign of power, strength. So we expect nga karong nga tuiga sa year of the tiger, it will be a tiger year. Good for economy, good also for our fight against COVID. Sa tanan, to my Filipino-Chinese community, daghang salamat. Thank you very much for all your support to the local government and to the support to the people of Cagayan de Oro. Unta, magpadayon na yung tabang sa ato kay kami sa Filipino-Chinese community. Diri mi na tao, diri mi gidako, diri mi negosyo. So magpadayon ta paglambo sa siyudad sa Cagayan de Oro, tabangi ang atong katawhan to fight the COVID case. So sa tanan, Kong Hee Fat Chai, Happy New Year to the Year of the Tiger. Daghang salamat o may adlaw.
Sus! Kalami gid kaayo sa mga pagkaon nga pwede ihanda ugma. But dili lang food ang dapat nga naa sa inyong tables. Here is Atty Sam as she shares with us the many traditions and the rationale behind each and every one. Let's watch and learn.
Okay, factual to everyone. Growing up, the consciousness of the Chinese or the Lunar New Year was not there. If ever there would be some consciousness about the Lunar New Year, it would be in Manila, but I can remember it starting sometime in the 80s na. When Feng Shui was at its peak, when Feng Shui as a way of living, as a lifestyle, was brought to the awareness to the Phil Chai. So it started around early 80s na, when I was still in high school, when my mom sent this from Manila pa. Like the kwatke, the tikoy, the buchi-buchi, the things that were not available yet here in Cagayan de Oro. Pero, in relation to fireworks and other things, wala pa siya. So the Chinese Lunar New Year was more of a feng shui practice than of family or what's a customary thing, no? So, kana siya. it started early 80s nga naipanghutang sa table, and then the varying fruits, my mom was so particular about the number, the sweetness, and the shape. So first criteria is that it has to be really sweet. And then second, it has to be whole. Anang tibok siya. Third, it has to be round. So muna ang pirming ibutang sa akong mama before, no? So that's what I can remember from her. Why is it that that's why it's fruit, because it's more about you are anticipating for everything that will come into fruition for the coming year, that it has to be sweet. And why does it have to be round? It has to be round because it has to represent money. Because money has already been represented before. It was a money boat. If you can remember watching Chinese movies, muna na siya barko nga nga shape, and then natin siya murag pump in the middle. Muna siyang kwarta sa China sa una. If you will notice some practices during funeral, na ay murag papel na kwarta, murag papel nga gasunugon, that paper represents the money. Kanang iyang shape nga papel, muna siya ang murag itsura sa kwarta sa una sa China. So right now, because all currencies are into coins kanang round, so the fruit has to be round so that the blessings that will come to you for the coming year must all come in money. So diba? Very kuan ang mga Chinese, very monetary oriented. It's more of income. It has to be money. It has to be liquid. You have to be liquid. And then why does it have to be whole? Gusto nila buo ang pagkita, dili tingi-tingi. Meaning gusto nila daggo ang ilang kitaon in the future or in the coming year. So that explains that the fruit has to be round, sweet, and whole. So dili pwede. Like, kung manghutang ka grapes, it's round, it's sweet, but gagmay. So it will not pass. Talking about the food that you put on the table before midnight, first is the fish. Anong naamay fish? Number one, if you notice, most fish, they school, di ba? They travel as a school. So they travel as a group, no? It's an affirmation that as a person, you cannot survive alone, but you need company. So you have to have fish. And always remember that if a fish would travel, dili na siya gatawala. Now, take note that when this practice was established, wala pa aeroplano, barko pa. Why is it that it's a fish? Because when a fish travels, no, the fish always will be able to go to its home. Muna nga kung there is isda on the table, that so that for the whole year round, if you travel, in case you will be going around the world touring because of a very fruitful year that you are enjoying, if you will travel, you will be able to travel safely. Why does it have to have pig? Pig kasi is a symbolism of prosperity, wealth, abundance. So that's why you have to have fish and pork to have abundance. The tikoy comes from sticky rice. It's being cooked using sticky rice blended with coconut milk and so many others. So daghan na kay variants karon sa tikoy yan, anay mangga tikoy, anay ubi tikoy, anay daghan kay tikoy. But essentially, any kind of tikoy will be good enough. Why? What does tikoy represent? Tikoy is sticky. So if you notice the history of the Chinese history, Chinese is very family-oriented, patriarchal, very family-oriented, and they want extended family. Kung pwede, the family of the son will have to stay with the family. No, the first generation family should stay with the parent. Muna ilang gusto. That's why naay tikoy, so that family would stick together in good times and in bad. Now again, kanang bilo-bilo or the butchi, again, it represents money. And then, because it's brown, it represents gold. So, dapat gold, dapat it has to have very high monetary value. That's why kinahanglan og na brown. So, in addition to that, before, they spread a golden coin on the table. So, what I do, I spread, ano na lang, golden chocolate coin. So, what does it represent? It represents, the golden coin represents money again. That it's not enough that you earn good graces, good blessings, but you must also have the ability to spread the good tidings, the blessings. You must be able to share it with the people around you. Thus, the customary wrapping of red money in red envelope called ang pao. The ang pao, kinala na siya murag kung sa ato pa, in according to our terms, kinala na siya palinaan ba kanang to condition the house to have money. Dapat naa siya sa lamisa because you receive money through a table, no? And then I will explain to you why is it that all of these have to be placed on a round table. So, ang pao is what you put on the table. You display it according to the number of grandchildren and offspring the head of the family has or have, no? So, sa ako madumduman, because I had the maternal and the paternal grandparents, duha ka ang pao ako madawatan before. And usually, dagko ng mga amounts, 50 pesos. Why 50 pesos? Because 50 pesos is printed on a red bill. Using a red ink. So the bill of 50 pesos is red. So because it's red, it's good luck. Okay? So nga nung red, because red represents happiness, joy, and good tidings. That's why it has to be on a red envelope. Muna gitawag nga, ang pao. Ang means red, pao means envelope, wrapping, to cap it all. Why does it have to be on a round table? Number one, again, because round represents money. Number two, it has to be round because it doesn't end, endless. So, all the things that you have conditioned yourself to receive for the coming year has to be an endless blessing. So it has to be placed on something that does not end, because if it's going to be rectangular, it's a representation of coffee. If it is a square, it is a representation of four ends, which is also referring to death. So that's why, if you will notice, most Chinese family would have round table. They would prefer round table to square or rectangular tables. So that's the reason why we have to place it on a round table and round table. Now, the lazy Susan thing, the one that turns in the center, there is a representation of that. When you're dining as a family, they want the bounty to be shared together for the New Year morning. So, nganong kinahanglan na siya mong tuyo? Because the turning means chi. It's energy. So, if you turn the round table, the lazy Susan, every turn, that means you generate positive energy, because on top of that lazy Susan is what you call as the blessings that you were expecting to share with the family. Notice, in the morning, Chinese do not eat anything except the miswa soup. The miswa soup is again a representation of life. Nganong miswa, nganong dili bihon, nganong dili tanghon, nganong dili unsa-unsa pa nga mga pansit, nganong miswa. Kung kanang miswa nga insakto nga pagkaluto, the proper way of cooking miswa, especially the soup, You don't break the noodles. Just like the pasta for Italians, you don't break the pasta. You just dump the entire miswa because it will melt. Now, if you will notice, kung dili mo na siya balion before mo ibutang sa kaldero, it will be long. When you are going to get a helping, the moment you lift the fork, the miswa is endless up to the bowl. So it is really, you really have to reach a certain height for you to be able to reach the end. Huwag na lang uban nga, kung magpog miswa, kailangan tindugan, ipadool gid ang yahong. Oh. And then, if you eat the miswa, you do not cut it with your spoon or your fork. You have to slurp it straight to your mouth. Because if you cut it, it's like you are cutting your life. Because the noodles is a representation of your length, your lifespan. And then, sa lunch, dapat close to Loriat, no? The kind of food that you shared, that you place on the table, will be reheated. You will eat it together as one whole family. So that's the ritual of eating as a family, enjoying the tikoy, the stickiness of the tikoy, enjoying the fish. So everybody should have a helping of every viand that is being displayed the night before the Lunar New Year. It's not enough to just do it every Chinese New Year. Ang uban di ay daghan na day kagi pangbuhat ng mga kontra, pointless. But then again, I will always go back to what I always adhere. You always have to ask yourself, what's in you? Unsa ba imong motivation why you're doing this? If you're doing this for selfish motives or for selfish reasons, considering that the practices originated from Buddhism, maski pag unsa pa sa pag mga tinuod na mga bulawan imong ipangutang sa lamisa, if what's inside you would not be for the good for yourself and for the people around you, I strongly doubt if anything good will happen to you. In this pandemic that we have right now, what is my wish? Well, just like anybody who is practicing Buddhism or Christianity or whatever religion that you are practicing, this is my message to you. Start from the very core of your being as a person, because everything begins from you. I wish you to find light, love, peace, and prosperity. That even though there are challenges facing you, or you are facing that challenge, sometimes surmountable, insurmountable from your own perception, always believe that there will always be a new day to come where new things will grow. And always look forward to the beautiful things that will grow. Learn from the bad things that grew in the past so that no bad crop will grow in the future in your field. Kong He Fat Choy.
Here is our Chinese New Year trivia. Yu is the Chinese term for this food, found on the table during the New Year. It symbolizes abundance. What food is this? Simply write down your answers on the comment space below. All those who submitted correct answers will be raffled off and announced on February 2.
Food? Check. Deckers? Check. I'm sure by now, ready na gitang tanan for tomorrow's celebrations. Remember, walay value ang mga pagkaon o mga decors nga atong gihanda if you do not intend to put value with yourselves. Dili enough that we depend on luck. We need to still do our part by being better versions of ourselves. To be more generous, be kinder, and be more respectful. This is Margie Auyong-Velasquez. Lan tang tan ki hui che lan. Lan tyo e hiao be che ki hui.
Watch and enjoy the Symphony of Lights in celebration of the Chinese New Year Festival at the Executive Building City Hall compound. Lights will go up every 6 o'clock in the evening. The local government of Cagayan de Oro, through its City Tourism Office, thanks the following: the Filipino-Chinese community of Cagayan de Oro, Miss Rosa Go, Mr. Greg Lau, and the Cagayan de Oro Bell Church Foundation Incorporated, Mr. Tomas Sia, the CDO Volunteer Fire Brigade Incorporated, Ovarama, Limkit Kai Center, Kakings, Grand Caprice Restaurant, Fong Restaurant, Konghua School, Oro Christian Grey School, Atty Sam Tan, Mr. Tony Uy, the Misamis Oriental Filipino-Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Miss Gwendolyn Chang, the Federation of Filipino-Chinese Catholic Women's Organization, Chef Ed De Chalco, Dr. Marie Aguilar Valdevilla, and Mr. Jeffrey Ventura. Special thanks also to the City Information Office, the Office for the Community Affairs, and the City Public Services Office. This special was brought to you by the City Government of Cagayan de Oro through its City Tourism Office.